It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and no one ever forgets it, whether it's the youth, or the families, or the whole audience.
Hey, this is James, November Zero Whiskey Radio Lima. I'm here with
Frank Bauer, KA3HDO.
And we are here to talk about one of the most exciting and inspirational things in amateur radio overall, which is amateur radio on the International Space Station, or ARISS. And Frank, maybe before we get into ARISS, you could tell us maybe what is ARISS and what's your role at ARISS?
So I'm the executive director of ARISS USA, as well as the international chair of the international working group, because we're all over the world. And what ARISS does is we let students talk to the astronauts on space station.
That's awesome.
It pretty is cool. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and no one ever forgets it, whether it's the youth, or the families, or the whole audience.
And I think having a moment like that in someone's life where a student gets to speak to an astronaut on the International Space Station, that creates a moment where it can inspire you to pursue a career in STEM, to learn more about electronics, to learn more about space. And those are some of the heaviest innovation areas in the economy as a whole, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and that's why we do it. The whole reason we do this is to inspire, engage, and educate students in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and get them excited about STEM careers. And how do we do that? We spend 4 to 6 months with them on educational activities leading up to that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. Now, could you tell us a little bit more about the history of ARISS? Like, is this something that started in the last couple of years, or how long have you been doing the ARISS program?
There was programs before this, the SAREX, or Shuttle Amateur Radio Experiment. We actually started using amateur radio on the space shuttle, and then proved it out, and then started doing school contacts for students using the shuttle astronauts. And then when NASA moved and was working with the Russians on Mir, the space station Mir, we did contacts there. And actually, we've been operational on space station for almost 25 years now. We got turned on 2 weeks after the first crew came on board.
And so this means that if you guys are making contacts with astronauts on the International Space Station here from Earth, that means that these astronauts are actually licensed amateur radio operators, does it not?
That is very true. All the crew members that are interested in utilizing our hardware on space station, licensed. At least 50% of the crews on the International Space Station are licensed.
Wow.
We're also doing work with Axiom, which is a commercial company that flies to space station, and about 70% of their crew members get licensed.
That's amazing. And I think that it's no coincidence that there is this overlap between amateur radio and space travel and innovation in that regards, because many of the things that you're learning when you're getting your ham radio license is you're learning about electronic circuits, you're learning about radio technology, and those are the same types of systems and engineering that is used to engineer something like spaceflight or control the communication systems that are used not just for amateur radio, but just for your day-to-day communications. And if I'm not mistaken, the amateur radio actually is an official backup communication on the International Space Station.
That is very true. It is backup comm for space station if the U.S. and the Russian systems fail. And we have been called up, just called up but not utilized. On shuttle, we were used as backup communications on a few situations. And on Space Station Mir, when they had an accident, a major accident, we were utilized for a significant amount of time until they got communications and the power systems all up and operational on the Space Station Mir.
That's amazing. So it actually had practical applications.
It does have practical applications, and everyone, recognizes that that's an important facet of ARISS.
So what would you say are you, excited about the future of ARISS? Like, is there anything that we should be looking out for? Are you guys planning a lot more contacts? What should folks at home look out for?
So we have this program called ARISS 2.0, and it's to provide more educational opportunities for youth as well as for lifelong learners. So lifelong learners are like the do-it-yourselfers.
Hey, I'm not even a youth anymore,
No, I know.
Come on, we gotta have something for me
and
too.
And the ham radio operators too. I mean, lifelong learner is anybody that wants to learn more, and it doesn't take a whole lot to actually listen to the space station.
Wow.
Actually, all it takes is something similar to this, which is a little RTL SDR dongle, and you can utilize that to talk to the space station, or to listen to the space station.
Wow. And a lot of people
was an
don't know that. I mean, you're not talking about, to listen to the space station with an SDR like that, you're not talking about a huge investment of thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. You're talking about a small device.
A small device and a decent antenna. So, you know, you can buy an antenna for $100 or you can build your own. And that's I talked about the do-it-yourselfers.
Yeah.
Very simple to make one out of tape measure.
Okay, well let me ask you this. As a relatively new ham myself, I say that, because there's people out there 20, 30 years of ham radio experience. What tips would you have for new hams, maybe in regards to exploring ARISS, but also maybe just in general? What tips would you have for new ham radio operators who are interested in exploring the world of satellite?
Well, you want to know what I did?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I decided I'd become the president of the Goddard Amateur Radio Club, because that meant that all these people had to show me how to do all this stuff. And I just was absorbing like a sponge, I mean, the important thing is to find somebody that can be your mentor and talk, if you're want to get into amateur radio, find a few people that are in it already. Get them to help you along the way. For the most part, people are very friendly and want to make that happen. If there's I'll let Tanya talk about the teacher stuff, but for teachers can actually bring this into their classroom, which is a great thing, and get the youth involved in that. And then you can take and get your amateur radio license as part of that whole thing. And
now and we'll talk to Tanya here in a minute more about the school program. But as someone who's like myself, a lifelong learner, you're at home. Yeah. What are the different ways that you can engage with ARISS? Can you make one of those contacts with an astronaut? Can you work with some of these kids, or what are the ways that you would somebody?
So the first thing they probably want to do is to go to our webpage, ariss.org, ariss.org. And on there's under the news, you can see when the next school contacts are. So nice. We list them. Some of them are live stream, and some of them, if they're in your location and you have a radio, you can just take the radio out and tune it to the frequency that we have, 145.80.
145.80.
And listen during the pass. And you got to go to a program that shows you, and NASA has these where's the space station?
Wow.
So you find out when it's coming over your area, and if it lines up, with the contact time, get on during that contact time and listen to it.
That's awesome.
The only thing you're going to hear is the astronaut's voice, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
But the other thing you will do is you can get off of the website the students' questions. So you can read the question and then get the answer from the astronaut. Pretty cool stuff.
I need an astronaut contact in the log. I need one.
So if you want to do that, that's another thing. That's a different thing. We have this capability that runs 24/7 mostly, and it's called the Crossband repeater.
Okay.
And the Crossband repeater lets hams talk to each other that are in the same, within the visual range of space station. And when an astronaut wants to use the radio, not for school contact, but just to talk to a ham, they'll pick up that crossband repeater at the microphone and talk through that.
You got a little bit of planning, a little bit of luck.
It's just like the old telephone. You call on the telephone to a radio station to win a contest, right?
Yeah.
It's just like a contest.
That is awesome. So yeah, I mean, if it was easy, everybody would have one, and it wouldn't be even fun anymore. So,
right.
But I love the work that you guys are doing. I think this is one of the most exciting parts of amateur radio. It's so important to the future of education in general, and space exploration. And space exploration then feeds into everything else, and many of the things and the technologies that we have here on Earth as well too. Is there anything else you want people to know before we talk more about some of the things that are going on with schools?
I just think that go to the ariss.org site. We have lots of information there. You can find out when the school contacts are happening. You can find out when how to use the voice repeater. And we have tips and techniques actually in this FRAM 2 section, which we just did this mission, which will help you with the voice repeater.
Yeah,
also.
and I'm hoping to see more things like that too, like the FRAM 2. I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah, that was incredible. We actually did contacts, a school contact and a big educational program with the FRAM 2 mission, which was a human spaceflight mission over the poles. And it's the first time we operated amateur radio in the Dragon vehicle, the
Dragon
SpaceX
vehicle.
Dragon vehicle. Yes.
That is cool.
It really was.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
all right.
Thank you so much.
All right, James.
Appreciate you.
Sure.
We've helped over 60,000 students get their US FCC amateur radio license, and we can help you too, no matter your age or educational background. Go to www.hamradioprep.com and try a free lesson today.